Hello. Today we're going to be talking about building an effective governance structure for your club. Now this incorporates the management committee, subcommittees and staff. In effect, those people charged with making decisions for the club. Now before reviewing your decision-making structures, it's worth considering your club's mission or purpose and your long-term goals, as the club structure should aim to reflect these. So let's talk about the management committee first. Now by management committee, maybe an executive committee, maybe a club committee, maybe a general committee, but it's whichever group has responsibility at the highest level for making decisions for the club. Now this committee should be made up of individuals with the right balance of skills, knowledge and experience to meet the needs of the club. So ideally you'll be aligning your committee composition with your strategy. So if you have a strategic plan and some long-term goals, committee composition must reflect that. For example, if you want to significantly improve your marketing communications, does anyone on your committee truly understand this in the 21st century? Now, members are chosen on the basis of their competent skills and expertise, but you'll also want to consider their integrity and experience, so personal qualities, and whether they meet with the club's values. Try and make sure that no one group can dominate decision-making around the committee table, for example, the junior section or the senior section, so that decisions tend to be skewed towards one particular group, where in fact the committee is there to make decisions for the whole club. Try also to make sure the committee is refreshed regularly. You can introduce terms of office, so people can sit on the committee for 3 years, 2 times 3 years, even 3 times 3 years. But at some point you are refreshing the skills and bringing new ideas in. It's very important that your composition adequately reflects society and is mindful of diversity. So if you have men and women in the club, it is really important that you try and get men and women on your management committee. So let's think about those competencies, skills and knowledge. By competencies I would mean things such as analytical skills, listening skills, facilitation, negotiation, written and oral communication. And ideally everybody on the management committee should be able to demonstrate these. There are more specific areas, for example finance and accounting, or business development and enterprise, marketing communications or property and facilities. Now not everybody will be able to bring this expertise to the committee, but if any of these areas are important to you, it will be important to have at least one person who understands it. Then of course you'll need the sporting knowledge. People understand greens, course management, greenkeeping, maybe some of the technical elements of the games and changes in the rules, or individuals who have a good grasp of the talent and player pathways. It's for the club to decide what's important, but you should try and get a balance across all of these areas around the committee table. So you might want to carry out a skills audit, and this will help you understand exactly what the strengths of your committee are and where you might have some gaps. So go to your committee and ask the question. Quite simply, you can ask him or her to rate themselves against the most important areas: communication skills, business development, course management, and thereafter you should be able to build a picture of the strengths of your committee right now and where you might have some gaps. This in turn will affect any future appointments, because you can specifically ask for individuals to be nominated or elected or even co-opted onto your committee, and that they bring the skills that you believe you might be missing. So be clear about what the role is. Write a role description that includes the responsibilities of a committee member, including the time commitment and of course any legal duties, and this will give possible candidates a clear steer of what's expected of them. Alongside that, if you write a person specification, you can set out exactly what competency, skills and knowledge are needed to make a difference. So if you have identified a gap, for example marketing communications, you can mention this in the specification, and before you go to election you can say you are really looking for somebody with experience and skills in this area. You can ask your candidates to outline how they meet the person specification, what knowledge and skills they bring. You might be surprised at what the additional knowledge, expertise and interests people have that you might not previously have known. Now, there are examples of role descriptions and person specifications in the Governance Guide for Golf Clubs, a very useful resource that's been designed and developed by the golf unions of all the home nations. And there are terms of reference and role descriptions there that you can use and adapt for your club. Now, you'll want people to know that there are opportunities on offer on the management committee, so make sure you promote and explain the role as much as you can through all the various channels that you have, whether it's social media, website, newsletters or notice boards. You could make sure that committee members are on hand to chat informally with somebody who's interested in one of the roles, and have a role description ready to go with the general manager or secretary so that it's available for people to read. Section meetings and notice boards are great means of promoting the roles, and also don't forget the current management committee should be out there promoting opportunities to stand for election and make a difference to the club. Be positive, even excited about the prospect of new experts coming onto your committee driving your strategy. So thinking about the committee priorities with a mission and some core values and strategic goals, that is where the committee will be focusing its efforts. Now, some of those priorities and strategic goals can be delegated down to subcommittees, so you could again be looking for people to come onto subcommittees with specialist expertise in course management, facilities, hospitality, events, communications, and they then will develop more detailed plans with objectives and tasks to make that happen. And you will have the right people with the right skills doing the right work. So when you delegate, one thing to consider: you need to hold people and groups to account. So if there are staff tasked with carrying out certain responsibilities, make sure they have a job description. They have an annual work plan where it sets out what the priorities are for that year and how it links to your annual business plan. Provide them with the appropriate support. Don't just leave them to get on with it. Everybody likes to be supported and positively challenged in what they're doing. Review what they're doing and plan maybe on a quarterly basis, because changes may happen. And make sure there are reporting processes, for example, from your general manager into your committee. Where there are subcommittees, ensure they have terms of reference, role descriptions. It's clear exactly what you want these subcommittees to do over the course of a year, what the timeframes might be within that. Are there limits of authority? They can't spend X amount of money, or they need to get authority before they can make certain decisions. Again, subcommittees should be reporting in to your main committee. So that's it. When you're building your governance and structures, think who, what skills, who's going to make a difference, and where they are best placed. Is it on a management committee? Is it on a subcommittee? Would it be a member of staff? And don't forget, you get plenty of support from Wales Golf. Good luck.